the gates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. The countdown to kickoff is on. We are just about 26 hours away from your Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the San Francisco 49ers. We will tell you everything you need to know about tomorrow's matchup, as we'll have an extensive preview, give you our keys to victory, injury report, prediction, and all that coming up in just a bit. Also, we'll go over the latest news and rumors on your Seattle Seahawks as Connor Stalions of Michigan football fame weighed in on Mike Macdonald and had some very nice things to say about the Seahawks head coach. We'll let you hear directly from Stalions coming up later on, and also go over some roster moves for the Seahawks as well. Shorter show, no mailbag today. The only way you can get on screen on today's show is by a super chat. So $sign below the chat box if you'd like to contribute and get on today's program. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling here on this Wednesday afternoon. I am here, and making his return is Tyler Smith. Smitty is in the house here with us. And people were not too pleased with Smitty betraying us and bringing the Giants a win on Sunday. But he is back with us, and he'll be with us tomorrow as well for that one, as we're certainly looking forward to the Seahawks getting back in the win column, ending this losing streak against the Niners. We're live from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas. I got Ian in Auburn, Washington. I got Morgan in Vancouver, Washington. Jake in Canyon Lake, Texas. Let us know where you're at, and we'll show you some love as we get this thing started here today. How many Seahawks assistant coaches all time can you name? Anyone that's been a coordinator or a position coach of any sorts? How many can you possibly come up with? Let's see who can get the most in the chat and see how many they can name in one individual comment. Whether it was somebody that was here for a year or 10 years, I don't care. Let's just see who can come up with the most as Smitty joins her right now. Smitty, first off, welcome back. We got a big couple days ahead, big game tomorrow. Certainly excited about that. And then Seahawks assistant coaches, how many do you think you can potentially come up with?
What's going on, 12? It's good to be here on Seahawks Today live on a Wednesday. I think I could get about probably 10 Seahawks assistant coaches all time. Yeah, not only coordinators, you can go offensive line coach, you can go quarterbacks coach, you can go defensive line coach. I mean, there's so many out there you can name, and it's probably easier to get the ones who are more current, but I can probably stretch my memory back to the early 2010s with some of the guys I had on staff there.
Let's see. How many can you guys come up with? I haven't seen the answers come up yet. I do see some cities people are shouting out. Jimmy's in Spokane, Jay-Z Vids in Blacksburg, Virginia. Got Andrew in Republic, Missouri. Got Gop in Mullins, South Carolina. Kyle in KC Mo. Chefferton in Spokane, Washington. So let's do this. Let me get my ad read in for Game Time. Tell you about Game Time. And while I'm telling you about Game Time, let me know how many assistant coaches you guys can come up with, and we'll circle back on that and see who can come up with the most names in just a moment.
Also, Jay-Z Vids, are you a Virginia Tech student there in Blacksburg? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll let you. I'll talk you back after this ad read real quick.
Okay.
I want to know.
Stay tuned for that. Jay-Z Vids, we need to know. Are you a Hokie?
Are you a Hokie? Let me know.
All right, let's tell you about Game Time. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time has got you covered. Still need tickets for tomorrow night's game against the Niners? Well, Game Time has that, as well as they have tickets that go down the closer it gets to game time. So if you're on the fence about going to tomorrow's game, there is still time, folks. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's a deal you don't want to pass up on. They also have their seat views, so you can get the visual and see what your seat is like. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. So we asked you a moment ago, who can come up with the most Seahawks assistant coaches that they can name all time? This can be coordinators. This could be position coaches. And Chefferton has already lost because he has named 3 head coach. Well, he got 1 with Dan Quinn. He named 3 total coaches and only got 1. So Chefferton's got 1 with Dan Quinn. That's a good start, and that's a good name. Dan Quinn, I could argue, might be the greatest coordinator in Seahawks history, potentially speaking. But who else can you come up with? Smitty, let's give them some hints here. Let's throw out some names.
All right. What about a little Darrell Bevel, who was the Seahawks OC back in the early 2010s? Or maybe a Tom Cable, the former Seahawks offensive line coach.
You're a big Tom Cable guy.
Big Tom Cable guy. Listen, the Seahawks offensive line in their Super Bowl days, the Super Bowl glory days, it's one of the best in the NFL. That had tons of holes open for Marshawn Lynch, even though he was a elite tackle breaker.
Tom Cable, absolute football guy.
Yep, super football guy. Another football guy, Gus Bradley.
Yes.
He was the Seahawks defensive coordinator.
And we could go with some of the more recent names, like your Shane Waldrons of the world. You look at this current staff, you're talking about the likes of Jay Harbaugh, AD, also Ryan Grubb, Scott Huff, just to name a few. Here we go. Here's some from Ian. Ian's got Quinn, Clint Hurt. Oh, I'd like to forget Clint Hurt.
Yeah.
Tom Cable, Darrell Bevel. Cadet's got AD, Clint Hurt, Ken Norton Jr., Chris Richard, Dan Quinn.
That escaped me for a sec, yeah.
Gus Bradley, John Marshall. So Cadet's got the most with 7 so far. Who can come up with the most? Let us know in the comments section. All right. Before we get today's show started, need you guys to spam us in the comments section as many times as we can over this next minute. Let's set the tone early for tomorrow. Lumen Field's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. We want this chat to feel like we're at Lumen Field tomorrow night. Whether you're going to the game or whether you're going to be hanging out with us tomorrow night, we want to make sure our voices are heard loud and clear. Let's see who's going to be the early favorite to be the MVP for today's show. Spam S in the chat. Let's get as many as we can. And Smitty's going to shout everybody out, see who's going to be the early favorite to be MVP. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whoa, here we got going early. We got Real Living. We got Willie S in the building. We got Phobia. We got Ian. We got Willie. Come on, keep it up. I need different names here. I can't be repeating the same names over and over again, even though they're so fantastic, just like Ian and Real and Chieferton and Kyle and Cecil and Willie and NSG. Let's go. Keep it going, Matthew Stratton. How are we doing, everybody? It's a Wednesday. It's 24 hours until Seahawk game day. Get pumped up. Act like it's Lumen Field, and we're cheering on our Hawks on a Thursday night. Willie S., Matthew Stratton, Jimmy 1, Ian Herron, Real Living, Phobia, Jimmy 1, NG Boog. Here we go. Theme Park Paul, what up? TPP.
20 seconds to go. Keep going. Keep going.
ACAS, Willie, Kyle, Jimmy, Matthew, J-Kai. Let's go. That's a real long name, my friend. Not going to lie. That's a crazy long name. Real Living, Boog, Ian, Matthew, Kyle, Phobia, Real, Willie, Ian, Jimmy. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Nice
you guys
work.
are killing it. Good stuff.
Nice work. Nice work.
One more ask of you guys before we get going.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Audience, you guys, a little late arriving crowd so far. Usually we expect more people at this point. But so we got to wake up the algorithm a little bit here. I got about 50 people watching right now. I got 18 likes. When we get to 30, then we can start today's show. This will help out the algorithm to push the show out to more people, to make sure they join us and be a part of today's live show here. Like the video. I'll open my first cold Coors Light when we get to 30 likes, but we need your help. Like the video. If you're glad to be hanging out with us here on Seahawks Today on this Wednesday afternoon, if you want to Seahawks win tomorrow against the 49ers, do your part, like the video. We're at 25 likes, need 5 more, and then we can get today's show started and get this thing going here. Ian, much appreciated. I can always count on Ian Heron. He's with us every single live show. He's always liking. He's always commenting. He's always doing his part. Ian, great to see you here. 2 more, and then we can get going. 1 more, and we're almost there. 1 more like, and then we'll get this show started today. We'll get going here. Once we do so, we get that 1 more like. Here's what's ahead on this edition of Seahawks Today. A shorter show today as we're going over the news and rumors, talking about Mike Macdonald and some comments made from Connor Stalions on Mike Macdonald and the Seahawks coaching staff. We'll let you hear what he had to say and also go over some roster moves coming up in just a bit. And we will look ahead to the Seahawks matchup against the 49ers coming up tomorrow night. We'll go over our game preview, my keys to victory. We'll also go over the injury report, prediction, and more coming up in just a matter of moments. So stay tuned for that here on this live edition of Seahawks Today. No mailbag today. The only way you can get on today's show is by sending a super chat. $ next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. And I haven't seen Buster Customs in the chat yet, but whether he's here or not, the offer remains as it does on these Wednesday live shows. $300, I could do a boot before the end of the day potentially. So maybe Buster's going to show up, maybe not. Up to you guys to do your part and figure this thing out if you guys want to do a boot before the end of the day. $300 will get there. Let's see who's going to send the first super chat of the day. And whoever sends the first super chat, I guarantee you we're going to go crazy. We're going to show you some love with that first super chat that rolls in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started coming up in just a few moments. I do owe you my first beer cheers of the day as we did reach 30 likes. So thank you all for that. Jimmy wants to know, should I wear my Wagner or Chancellor jersey tomorrow? That's a tough call, Smitty. I lean towards Chancellor because Bobby's playing for a different team right now.
Agree. I also have a Cam Chancellor jersey. Funny, I've worn it on the show before. Signed by Ricardo Lockett.
Really?
Yeah. Signed by Ricardo Lockett when I went to watch, funny enough, Seahawks-Giants way back when at MetLife back in 2017, and they won that game, of course. All gray unis, Legion of Boom, Jimmy Graham was in the mix. It was a fun time to be a Seahawks fan back then. But, yeah, Cam Chancellor jersey, he's my favorite player of all time. I'm going with that choice.
I don't like seeing Bobby play for another team, but I am happy for him that he's having a nice year.
Yeah, he's doing solid. He's helping them stop the run over there.
That's a good team, too.
Yeah. Washington's been great, and everybody seems to be loving playing for Dan Quinn.
Yeah, and Cliff Kingsbury there. They got a good thing going. First super chat of the day. We'll go to Ian, then we'll get the show started here real quick. Ian with a $5 super chat. We'll give him the old McDonald song for this. He says, let's go, Smitty, Tyler, Seahawks. That might need to be a T-shirt. Might need to say Tyler, Smitty, Seahawks, the trifecta. We might have to get that printed for folks out there. Ian, thanks for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated to you. We'll give you the old McDonald song for good measure to get this show started. For Ian, old McDonald had a farm, C-I-E-I Hawks.
I just want to make sure I get you up on screen, Ian. Sorry, I got to do this extra step here nowadays.
Yes, Ian, we will throw it up. We just have a different process than that we've had before, so it takes a minute. Everybody show Ian some love for the first super chat of the day. Spam Ian. I said that our first super chat would go crazy for. Ian, salute to you, brother. Cheers. Smitty, Jonesy, Seahawks. What more could you want? People like Ian making it happen. Cheers to you. Ian, I know you'll be here tomorrow night. Looking forward to seeing you here on the channel. We'll have a good time for sure. All right. Now, let's get this thing started. News and rumors to begin. And then we'll go to Seahawks Niners preview to follow after that. We'll get started on this live edition of Seahawks Today, beginning right now. You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Loaded show ahead as we're going to hear from Connor Stalions. Yes, that Connor Stalions, the same one from Michigan, the infamous sign stealer himself. Well, he knows the Seattle Seahawks coaching staff pretty well. Pretty good friends with Mike Macdonald and a couple of other guys that he worked with at Michigan. And he weighed in with some interesting insights on this Seahawks staff. We'll tell you what he had to say and recap his interview with the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Barstool coming up in just a little while from right now. Also, we got some roster updates to get to on the Seahawks. Some changes that have been made to the practice squad with one player in and one player out. We'll tell you about all that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Ahead of tomorrow's game against the San Francisco 49ers, my guy Chase Sr., he put a challenge out there to the 12s. He said, there's no way you guys could get 1,000 comments on a single video. It hasn't happened in months. And I said, Chase, not only are the Seahawks going to beat the Niners, and Seahawks Today is going to crush the 49ers report, we're going to prove you wrong right here, right now. I want 1,000 12s from the 12s. To make our voices heard loud and clear, spam 12 in the comment section. We'll get going here on Seahawks Today. Connor Stalions, the Michigan sign stealer himself, weighed in on Mike Macdonald and some members of the Seahawks coaching staff who he knows pretty well from working with them at the University of Michigan, and had an extensive interview with the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Will Compton, Taylor Lewan, they do a great show. And the interview's about 3 hours long. We will save you the time from having to listen to that entire interview and just play you the hits of what he had to say about Macdonald and the Seahawks here. He talked about Mike Macdonald's coaching approach. And it was pretty fascinating to listen to Stalions talk about Mike Macdonald and the influence that Macdonald was given from Connor Stalions, that Stalions actually changed Macdonald's approach, that the Macdonald that we know now compared to what he was when he arrived at the University of Michigan, when he was their defensive coordinator, two completely different guys. And Connor Stalions is a big reason why. Connor Stalions said that he was Mike Macdonald's go-to guy when it came to sign stealing, when the Michigan Wolverines were trying to figure out not only what signs to steal, but also how to protect themselves from their signs getting stolen, that Mike Macdonald was right there, and he was one of his biggest supporters, and that changed Mike Macdonald's approach to coaching the defense. Pretty fascinating there. We know about the infamous Michigan Manifesto, which was the 500-plus page document that Stalions put together on his plan to one day become the head coach of the University of Michigan. And, I mean, anytime you put manifesto as a title of a document, you're just a crazy person, right? And he was asked about, okay, who are your biggest influences of putting this manifesto together? And 3 of the 4 names that he came up with were Seattle Seahawks coaches: Mike Macdonald, Jay Harbaugh, who was the special teams coach at Michigan at the time and is now the Seahawks special teams coach, son of Jim Harbaugh, and Chris Partridge, who was Michigan's linebackers coach, now the Seahawks linebackers coach, who was fired from the University of Michigan due to his role in the sign-stealing scandal. So, pretty fascinating to see that much influence. He talked about just how smart those guys are, the geniuses that they are to the game of football, how well that they know the X's and O's and are able to translate that to their players and get the most out of them, that they were 3 of his biggest influences. And then another final note that I found pretty fascinating was that Stalions said he recently attended the Seahawks-Giants game just over the weekend in Seattle. He was in town for the Michigan-Washington game that the Huskies won, and then he stuck around for the Seahawks-Giants game to follow after that and was hanging around the Seahawks coaching staff and remains close to the Seahawks coaching staff. So all pretty fascinating stuff from Stalions there. And you can see, here's a photo from the Big Ten Championship a couple years ago of who else? Mike Macdonald with Connor Stalions. Stalions tweeting, this man right here, Mike Mac, Big Ten champs. Now, Stalions obviously is not coaching anywhere significant. He's coaching some high school ball. But seeing the relationship there and the ongoing conversations, him being in Seattle, it makes you think for a second. Does Stalions potentially have a role with this Seahawks team? Is that a possibility? I know that sign stealing isn't nearly as prevalent in the NFL with the headset communication and all that. But this guy, the way his brain operates, I wonder, is there a way to make this work, to find somewhere where Connor Stalions could fit within this Seahawks organization? Could he be used in some way, shape, or form? Should the Seahawks hire Connor Stalions? Am I crazy for even considering this possibility? What do you guys think? Weigh in, let us know. Y for yes, in for no if the Seahawks should consider bringing Connor Stalions to Seattle. We'll be live coming up tomorrow night for Seahawks Niners here on the channel. Our coverage begins at 4:15 with our hour-long pregame show. I'll be here. Smitty's going to be here. As we count you down to kickoff, we'll be live throughout the game as well, reacting to things in real time, having a few drinks on hand. We'll be doing some Super Chat giveaways and more. Don't miss out. Seahawks, Niners, Thursday Night Football, prime time, baby. You won't want to miss it live right here on Seahawks Today, youtube.com/Seahawks TV. We will see you then. Couple roster notes for the Seahawks here that we'll get to. Let's start with who they moved on from. Linebacker Devon Richardson was released from the practice squad, while linebacker Ezekiel Turner was added to the practice squad in his place. So they swapped out linebackers here. More on Turner, undrafted in 2018 out of Washington, previously played with the Cardinals, the Niners, the Texans, was also a part of the all-rookie team back in 2018. And his career statistics, nothing too flashy. Had 20 tackles in 2023, 22 in 2022, along with 3 TFLs, 4 tackles in 2021, and 14 in 2020. And this is a guy that's got a little bit of versatility. We'll tell you about that here in just a second. But for this late in the year, when you're signing practice squad players, it's usually, just to fill a spot, whatever it may be, with no hope of getting to the active roster. But the more I look into this, and the reason why we're going to spend some extensive time on this compared to other practice squad signings is that the more I read in and get to know Turner, the more I'm starting to convince myself that this guy actually has a chance to potentially get that promotion to the 53-man roster. Let me explain why. He's got some versatility. Former defensive back at the University of Washington, so he's played a couple different spots. If you go back to 2018, he was 3rd in the NFL in special teams tackles with 16 total, and he's had not 1, but 2 blocked punts in his career. So he's done a lot. He's been a valuable asset when it comes to what he's done on special teams over the years. So this is pretty interesting. How would you grade the signing of Ezekiel Turner? What do you think of this? I'll give you my grade here in a moment, but I want to hear from you guys. A, B, C, D, or F. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Still time to get tickets for tomorrow night's game against the San Francisco 49ers. And as the game gets closer, the ticket prices drop, folks. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's going to be one you don't want to pass up on. They have their seat views, so you can get the visual, see what your seat is like. You choose the event you want to go to, whether it's a Seahawks game a Kraken game, the NHL season just started, whatever it may be. Prices are listed. Choose your seat, get the visual, see if you like that seat or not. Then you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. All right, I'm giving this an A for this signing here, and let me explain a little further of why I really like this move for the Seattle Seahawks with what they're doing. He brings in more special teams help. Special teams, special players, you guys know how it is. And over his career, he's been a core special teams player. So that's an asset. That's a plus. He also really just has it in his blood. Grew up in a football family. He's known since the age of 5 years old he wanted to play in the National Football League. His dad was very active and involved, an athlete in his own right. And this is a guy that is, as an underdog, is perfect for this type of situation. A determined underdog that he's been kind of forgotten about his entire career. He only received 2 Division II offers in high school. Not a single Division I offer from FBS or FCS, but he's been continually written off again. So this is not an unfamiliar spot for him to be here sitting on a practice squad trying to earn his rights. He's overcome the odds time and time again. And when he was at the University of Washington, he was a 2-time Special Teams MVP award winner there for that team. And he's looking to finish what he started. We mentioned that he's had his fair share of moments in the NFL already. This is somebody that finished his degree while playing football. So this is a guy that has, found ways to get through adversity and make it work. Now, that's nice. I like this signing. But let's get to the real problem for this Seahawks team right now. Can we get some offensive line help? That's what I want to see next. And as I look towards tomorrow night's game, I'm looking at Jason Peters. If it were up to me, I'd be starting Jason Peters tomorrow night. Do I expect it to happen? No, I think Stone's probably still going to start. But when I look at where this goes from here, of bringing in players and roster moves and all that, that's the next thing we want to see. Peters was a decent signing. Now let's see some more moves from this point. I want to see him potentially start. We'll see if the Seahawks do it. Should the Seahawks start Jason Peters this week against the Niners? 2 options here. Type start or sit. Weigh in and let us know what you think. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live, and we will see you next time. All right, game preview segment is coming up next. We want to know, should the Seahawks start Jason Peters tonight, or should they go with Stone Forsythe? Type start or sit as Smitty rejoins me right now. Smitty, do you want to start Peters tomorrow?
I don't know, man. I don't think either option is great, but
that's the right answer.
I'm not sure if I'm starting a 42-year-old at right tackle, especially against a pass rush like San Fran's. Like, he's going to get eaten alive.
I mean,
so is Storm Forsythe, but I don't know. I just feel like he's a little quicker laterally. Could help buy Geno a little bit more time.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I feel like I've seen enough where you got to do something better than Stone Forsythe personally. But what's the chat saying? Cummings is saying start. Pat saying start. Matthew saying start. Let's see. Gavin is saying start. So Jimmy's saying start as well. Everybody agrees with me saying start over Stone Forsythe. So we'll see what the Seahawks do here. Before we begin our final segment, let's go over to the Super Chat menu so you guys can see what we're offering today. Remember, no mailbag today. So the only way you can get on the show is by sending us a Super Chat. Here's what we're offering. First-time Super Chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll sing you the old Macdonald song. $10 to do some shots. $20 do a beer bong, $50 get sauce with the Seahawks sauce. You guys know how it works. When we drink, we score. We drink, we win. So if you want to get a win tomorrow, if you want to get the scoring started early, then feel free to send us in a super chat, and we certainly would appreciate it. Right now, though, let's go ahead and preview the Seahawks matchup against the 49ers. I got my 5 keys to a Seahawks victory. We'll go over the injury report, and I'll give you my official prediction for this matchup as well. We'll go over all of that in just a moment here on Seahawks Today. So that's what's ahead, and we'll wrap up after that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this show started. Segment 2, Seahawks-Niners preview begins right now here on Seahawks Today. Thursday night football. Your Seattle Seahawks taking on the San Francisco 49ers in week number 6 in the National Football League. The Seahawks coming in on a 2-game losing streak, but they're still in first place in the NFC West. Slight underdogs at home at 3.5. The over-under set at 49. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, I got my 5 keys to victory. We'll go over the injury report, and I'll give you my prediction before we wrap up here on today's show. A couple of quick nuggets, some quick hits for you before we go over everything else on today's show. The Niners come in on a 5-game win streak against Seattle. Maybe I'm the curse here, but as long as I've been host of Seahawks Today, these Seahawks have not beat the 49ers. So hopefully that comes to an end on Thursday night. In that stretch, the 49ers' average margin of victory is 15 points or more. So not only have the Niners dominated as of late, but they've won decisively in that stretch as well. And then when it comes to Thursday night football, beyond just these matchups against the 49ers here, the Seahawks have struggled on a short week as they've lost 4 straight Thursday night football games heading into this Thursday's contest. And for the Seahawks, this is their 3rd game in the last 11 days. Remember, they played the Monday night game against Detroit, came home Sunday to play the Giants, and now a quick turnaround to play the San Francisco 49ers, and they're very banged up as well. So a lot is going to be asked of this Seahawks team to try to take down San Francisco this week. You want to beat the 49ers? Here's what I need you to do. Like the video. Don't jinx it. Do your part. If we get 500 likes on today's video, that guarantees victory. When the Seahawks have not won this year, maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. We didn't reach 500 likes on our game preview videos. So do your part. Like the video. Let's not jinx it. Don't make me come find you because you didn't like today's video. Like it, and we'll continue here on today's show. Let's begin with the injury report for Seattle. Boye Mafe with that knee injury, he is questionable. Rick Woolen with the ankle injury, he is out, will not play. Byron Murphy with the hamstring injury, he is out, will not play this week. The Seahawks are hoping to have him back next week. Meanwhile, Uchenna Nwosu with the thigh injury going to injured reserve. He's obviously out. Julian Love with the hamstring issue. He is questionable, but the Seahawks remain optimistic that he will play. And then Derek Hall with a foot injury. He is questionable, but the Seahawks are also optimistic that he will return to the field as well. Meanwhile, for San Francisco, they're a bit banged up themselves. Their kicker, Jake Moody, is out with an ankle injury, and they're trying out about 4 different kickers right now to potentially replace him. Talona, we'll just go with that, with the wrist injury, their safety, he is out. Charvarius Ward with the knee injury. He's been a pretty decent football player over the years. Won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He is questionable with a knee injury. While Demetrius Flanagan-Flowers with a calf injury, he is questionable. Their star linebacker, Fred Warner, is questionable with an ankle injury. And there's more for San Francisco. Jordan Elliott with a knee injury is questionable. Their star tight end, George Kittle, with a ribs injury, he's questionable. Chris Conley with an oblique injury is questionable. And then Jair Brown with an ankle injury is also questionable as well. So what's it going to take to beat San Francisco? Number one, I think involves exposing Brock Purdy. Look, I think Brock Purdy is a decent quarterback, but not a great quarterback. Honestly, if I was San Francisco, I wouldn't even give him a second contract. I think he's great for being on a rookie deal, but I would not invest my franchise long-term in this guy with his limitations of what he can do as a passer. So far this season, Purdy has thrown for 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, completion percentage around 65%. But one thing I want to point to, if we take a ride on the hot tub time machine back to 2023, when Brock Purdy and the Niners on Christmas night played a Mike Macdonald-led Baltimore Ravens defense, Purdy had arguably the worst game of his entire career as the Ravens picked off Purdy 4 times, sacked him twice, held him to 255 yards and just 18 completions. And you could argue that it was Mike Macdonald's shining moment. That may have been the difference in him getting the Seahawks job, was how well his defense looked that night against San Francisco. If he could pull that off again, that would guarantee victory, I can tell you that much. Who do you got? You going with Seattle or you going with San Fran? Type C for the Seahawks. Type SF for San Francisco. Get your predictions in now. Let us know what you think. We'll be live for the Seahawks matchup against the Niners coming up on Thursday night. Our coverage begins at 4:15 Pacific with our hour-long pregame show. And then we'll react to the game in real time, have a few drinks on hand. Make sure and join us live right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV, and we'll see you then. Number 2 on our keys to victory for the Seahawks, getting the run game going. Last week, the run game for Seattle was just atrocious. Kenneth Walker III only ran the ball 5 times, was held to 19 yards, 3.8 yards a carry. Mike Macdonald talked about this week. He said, yeah, I know. We got to run the football more. And Ryan Grubb, I think, got his first wake-up call that, hey, buddy, this isn't college football anymore. You can't throw the ball 45, 50 times a game. You have to run the ball and run the ball effectively. And when Kenneth Walker's been used properly, he's looked very good. Close to 6 yards a carry, over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns in 3 games played. I like what I've seen from Kenneth Walker when he's used right. But think about this. This is where Kenneth Walker, where K9 is so good, is with breaking tackles. And the San Francisco 49ers defense last week allowed 11 broken tackles against the Cardinals of all teams. That was the most of any team in the NFL last week. Huge chance for K9 to shine in that regard. Also looking to feed JSN. I've talked a lot on this program about how well JSN has played to start this season. I want to see more of it. JSN has gone 4 straight games with at least 3 catches for 31 yards. And when JSN is popping, this offense is totally different. They go to another level when he's playing extremely well when they get him involved. And you look at his statistics, 29 catches, 257 yards, 8.9 yards reception. That's the thing I want to see go up, is his yards per catch. Use him more in the vertical passing game. If they can do that, I think they'll see some big benefits to that passing game. Who will be the Seahawks MVP against the Niners? Is it JSN? Is it K9? Is it somebody else? Well, in the comment section, let us know who you think that is. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Still time to get tickets to Thursday's game against the Niners. And here's the deal, folks. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals, and they got some super deals for this game against San Fran. You don't want to miss out on those. They have their seat views and get the visual, see what your seat is like. Choose the event you want to go to. Seahawks games, Kraken games, all sorts of stuff in Seattle. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat, get the visual, see if you like that seat or not with that 3D view, and then you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Explosive plays, a big key to victory for Seattle, and they have been one of the best teams in the NFL when it comes to those explosive plays. Through the first 5 games, let me give you a little chat stats on this. The Seattle Seahawks offense has 6 total touchdowns that were 20-plus yards or more. That's the most in the NFL. And in large part due to DK Metcalf, who set the franchise record for most touchdowns of 50-plus yards or more earlier this year. And he has been such a mismatch when it comes to opposing defenders. I think there's a real chance for DK to shine and to exploit this San Francisco 49ers secondary, who honestly is not that great, if we're going to be real with y'all. Last but not least, scheme over talent. If we're going to be honest with you, and you guys come here because we tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear necessarily. If we're going to be real with y'all, the Seahawks aren't winning this game based on talent. They are not the more talented team. Mano a mano, the Niners are the more talented team without question about it. But this is why you brought in Mike Macdonald for nights like this, to use that Sean McVay defense mind that he's been compared to try to exploit these weaknesses. Because think about this. Kyle Shanahan, the Niners head coach, since 2023 is 0-5 against top defensive coordinators who excel in simulated pressure and blitzing. You know who one of those 5 coaches are? Mike Macdonald, last year against the Baltimore Ravens. Mike Macdonald, his defense, outcoached Kyle Shanahan's offense by a mile last year. And part of the key of this is not just the defensive side of the ball, but the offense has got to do its part too. Ryan Grubb and company need to find balance and run the football, as we talked about. Geno even knows it too. Geno said this week. Obviously, it's important to us to be balanced and to take advantage of all the weaknesses in the defense. Our running game has to be the defining factor for our offense. I think as we go along throughout the season, the pass and run numbers tend to balance up, but we definitely want to run the ball. So scheme-wise, it's twofold. Yes, it's the defense, but the offense has got to scheme up and find that right balance to get that run game going. So before I reveal my prediction here for you, let's ask you. The winner of this game very well might win the NFC West. That's how big of a game this is on Thursday night. Are the Seahawks going to win the division? What do you guys think? Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in. Let us know what you think. So to recap, our keys to a Seahawks victory on Thursday night, exposing Brock Purdy for the fraud he really is. Get the run game going. Find that balance. Feed Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Get him involved. Get those explosive plays going with DK and company, and scheme over talent. Find those mismatches and exploit them on both sides of the ball. If the Seahawks do all those things, I think they can win this one. And I'm calling the upset. I got Seattle to win on Thursday night in a close one, 20-17. If you want the Seahawks to get this win over the 49ers, like the video. Do your part. Don't jinx it. We'll root on the Seahawks together. We'll see you coming up later on Thursday night, 4:15, right here on Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. So there you have it. That is our segments for today. Folks, I'll put the shot clock on. 1 minute. If we get a super chat of any amount, we can keep the show going for a little bit and hang out with you. Otherwise, we'll sign off and call it a day. But Smitty rejoins me now. Smitty, your final thoughts heading into tomorrow's matchup against San Fran.
Well, they've beaten us 9 times in a row. They're 2-3.
5 in a row.
Oh, wait. Say 5 in a row?
5.
5? Okay. Feels like 9.
Yeah, it feels like 9.
I'm not going to lie. It's probably like something like 8 of the last 10. Just haven't been able to beat the Niners, man. I don't know what it is. But this is a new coaching staff. I really don't know what to expect tomorrow. This is going to be a new era of Seahawks versus Niners here. And with the success that Mike Macdonald has had against Kyle Shanahan, I'm excited to see what kind of packages he'll throw out there and what kind of different stunts and schemes and what have you that Mike Macdonald will throw out at Kyle Shanahan, because clearly he's affected him before.
This is by far his biggest test.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, started off, like this is a big game that will determine the public perception of Mike Macdonald and the Seahawks. Because you start out 3-0, everybody's riding high on you. You're kind of one of the bandwagon teams of the NFL to start the season, but you play really no quarterback talent throughout those entire 3 weeks. Then you play 2 teams. I mean, the Lions are obviously better. I don't know what the Giants. Giants are kind of weird right now. I don't really know what the Giants are.
Yeah.
But they have a really good defense, and they knew how to beat you because they just sent blitzes. They just sent pressure all night long. So this is the big test. This is where people kind of form an opinion on Mike Macdonald. Is he kind of a pretender? Can he beat bad teams and not contend with the good ones? Or is he going to be potentially running the NFC West for the years to come? That's what we're going to find out maybe tomorrow and maybe in the rematch when they play later on this year.
We shall see. We'll sign off. Guys, thanks for joining us. I know it was a shorter show today, but we'll be live tomorrow, 4:15. Join us for our hour-long pregame show. Then we'll be live throughout the game. And certainly going to be a great time tomorrow night, hopefully rooting on our Seahawks to victory. He's Smitty. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Seahawks Today. So long.